Quite often a pimp will have more than one girl. They will usually have a stable of girls that they bring into work. And their one girl, usually the first girl that they bring in, then becomes, excuse me, the bottom bitch and controls the rest of the girls. And becomes a perpetrator just like the pimp. The pimps will often brand their girls by tattoos or marks so that they know not only have their insignia on the girl, makes the girl feel like a piece of chattel, but more importantly to the pimp, it lets other pimps know that she's taken who she is. Oh, and by the way, if she ever decides to run away, she'll be easily identified. And the conditions are very violent. I don't know if you've ever read the paper just recently in Southern Nevada. There are a couple of cases where one unfortunate girl was burned to death. Another girl tried to run away, then chased her to a Good Samaritan's car where she was getting into, threatened a Good Samaritan, and then he dragged the girl out of the car by her hair and back into the house. He is being prosecuted right now by the DA in Clark County. It's horrific. In northern Nevada, they just did a sting and uncovered a young girl who was, think about this, I think 15, maybe even 14 years of age, but had been was from California, her cousins put her in a truck and brought her out to Reno and put her in a motel. A young girl had no shoes, didn't give her any shoes, and put her there to have sex with men so that they could make money off of her. And we were able to get her out of that life and put her back into services. The services are not in this state, they're in another state because we don't have that type of facility, a residential long-term facility to help the girls at this time we're working on it. Those are some of the cases that we know of. There are many more, many more. And the reason why these girls get into it can run the gamut, and it's just horrific to hear their stories. But they need our help because they need an opportunity for a future. And if you think about it, you're at a young age and you're forced into this, that becomes your norm. You don't know any different. So how do you know how to get out? How do you know what you should or shouldn't be doing? They've already broken down your self-esteem. You're treated like a piece of cattle, and nobody's out there helping you. So, what do? You usually grow up and become an adult prostitute, or you turn into a madam and do something like that. You stay in the trade. It was fascinating. We just had a summit in Southern Nevada. The Southern Nevada Human Trafficking Task Force put together a summit, and we had a woman from Cook County, Illinois, who had been a prostitute, who now, as an adult, has a nonprofit to help the prostitutes and save the prostitutes and service and work with them. And she told us her story, and from the side of the prostitute and the feelings that you have. And it was an incredible story, and it was, again, at a young age. She had been abused by a family member, always told that she had no self-worth. The right guy comes along, treats her well, and then turns her out, and now she's in this cycle. And she's going through everything that I just talked about. And it happens quite often. So that's why we're here. That's why we're working on these issues to address them in our state. One is too many. 106 is too much. Right now, this year, just in Clark County, we know there's 132 kids that have come through the system. And we're not even in the full year yet. So many people are working on this. The other side, which is I call kind of like a three-legged stool, you know, there's law enforcement, publication of the public awareness campaign, the treatment services. Really, we have very few. Salvation Army in Southern Nevada has received some funding at the federal level to provide some services to these victims. And then you have some sporadic groups that have popped up to try to help victims, but we do not have a true facility, long-term care, short-term care to treat victims of domestic violence. And there is not a template for the services that are needed, because each one is a case-by-case basis. Think about how they came into the system. Oh, some of them could have a wonderful, loving family, like we have seen in Southern Nevada, where a young girl was approached by a pimp when she was 15 years old. But her father was in law enforcement. Her mother was a nurse. She had 2 older brothers. She has a loving family, and she still got pulled out into her life. So you don't know where they're coming from. So each one needs a unique area of treatment. But we don't have the providers. We don't have the service professionals yet that really understand this and know how to treat them. We don't have the location of the building, bricks and mortar. And so that's what we have to do. In the meantime, because we don't have a place to separate them from the pimps, because that's what we want to do, because they'll keep going back, we lock the kids up. Not because we want to, but because we know that at least we'll keep them away from the pimp and try to work with them and help them and try to get them into some services out of state or wherever we can. But really, they're victims. They're not perpetrators. So we have to figure out how to address it, and that's what we're working on in this state. When we have a victim that comes through that criminal justice door as a perpetrator, but is a true victim, what do we do to help them? And should we be treating them as a perpetrator? Should we be charging them? A lot of these girls got charged with prostitution. They have a list, a laundry list of prostitution. But now they come out of it, we're giving them services, we're giving them a job where they want to be, standing citizens, but now they have a record. So we've got to give them the right to now clear that record. And that's what we're working on in the state as well. So there's a lot of action that still has to take place. I am looking at next legislative session, new laws that might be needed to help the victims. One of them is just what I talked about, the right to kind of clear your record after you've gone through the system and done everything. That's one thing we're looking at. We're looking at severe penalties against the Johns. As long as the demand is there, we're going to have this happening. So you got to look at all of it. So what do we now need to be looking at on the solicitation side? Going after those individuals and holding them accountable. So that's going to be part of it. This whole issue of whether we treat the victims as real true perpetrators or victims and convict them is called safe harbor provision. We're going to be looking at that. Whether when they come through the door, should we look at them as true victims, not lock them up, but try to get them in services or continue to lock them up. That's a dialogue we're going to continue to have and look at if we need to legislation for that as well. So those are areas we are working on. We are working with private funders in our state. There's no state dollars for this. There are a few federal dollars for this. But there are community members who have means, who are willing to support and put their dollars behind us if it's the right project. So we have engaged them and they've come to the table with us, and we're working with them throughout the state to work on these issues.